first off, hello. I watched a video earlier, and I think it was the guy who was Princess Diana's like speech coach, and he was talking about the fact that a lot of people don't actually speak in a voice that is comfortable for them. They actually tend to speak very high pitched or very in the back of their throat, or they speak very nasally. But really, where you are comfortable and where your voice actually sits is lower down. So, the trick that he said, and I'd heard somebody else say it, is to pick a note to hum. So, like that's comfortable for me. You should try it. Hum a note, like a note that's easy. And then feel where in your chest, where that sits. And then try talking from that place. You'll find that you may not yell as much. You might talk a little bit more, like, intimately, close to self, if you will. And I've been trying to make sure that I speak down here when I'm doing videos, unless I get like super excited or like I'm doing a voice or something, because this is actually one of the things I'm supposed to be working on, which is, again, the whole point of these videos is to remind you all and myself, because these videos are also very healing for me. 2 minutes and 2 seconds, as I was saying, it heals me. So thank you to those of you who watch and who comment, some of the new subscribers that I have. It's good to see you guys. I just be rambling. That's really what I be doing. Occasionally I'll throw some fresh tips. Out. And then sometimes I feel divinely led to speak on certain topics, but for the most part it's just been me rambling and going on and on about my life and being vulnerable about it. But yeah, like, being out in public it's so hard to speak here. Here is actually incredibly fucking comfortable for me, but the problem is I'm so tempted when I speak to pitch my voice up. Like, I don't know if I did it accurately, but at night it's a lot easier to not jump up there and be in the stratosphere. When I was little, I had a really high-pitched voice. Ooh, before we get going, those of you who watch all of my videos, which there are a few of you, some friends, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your support. I show this little crystal mobile at the beginning of all my videos. If this is the first video of mine that you're seeing, I do this because I have a being on my spiritual team. Her name is Ethel, and she is a Black Widow spider. And this is a mobile that I bought, and it represents her in my life. She's one of my protector spirits. And so she was like, in every video, show this. And I don't know, part of me thinks that I do this not just because it looks cool, but because it actually in some way like blocks some negative energy. Get blocked, man. And then let us get some water in, friend. Drink some water. You know who you are. You know who you are. I find that I drink more water during my videos than I do usually at any other time, so if nothing else, if you get nothing else from my videos, I would like for you to drink water when you watch my videos, if at all possible, because it's good for you. But yeah, when I was younger, I had a very high-pitched voice, and I actually remember the day that my voice dropped. It was I can't even do it now. It was so high, but I remember one morning I had been hoarse for like 3 days, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong because I hadn't been yelling or screaming or, singing or tearing up my voice or anything. but I was hoarse. It was all over the place. And then one morning I woke up, I got out of bed, and I was at my grandmother's house and the phone rang, and I went and I answered it, and I was like, hello, how can I help you? You know, such and such's residence, how can I help you? And it was my aunt, and she goes, who's this sexy voice on the phone? And I was like, sexy? I don't know, but this is Tato. And my voice was deep for a while, but then anytime I would go out or when I would be dealing with people, I would pitch it up. And a big part of the reason I pitched my voice up, not gonna lie to you, 5 minutes and 55 seconds as I'm saying this, so somebody here may be dealing with this. I pitched my voice up for safety reasons. Even though I am like I'm 5'2", and I don't weigh very much, I am petite. I still, as a melanated individual, will do things or have done things. I've been working to not do those things anymore, but I have done things to not only make myself more digestible for people, but also to make myself a safe black person for people who feel threatened by somebody simply being melanated in their presence. And the journey has been so interesting to go from being like really wanting to be any other ethnicity, because anytime I saw black women portrayed in media, it was not good. It was not good. And if it was good, they still didn't get the romance, the love story. They were the warriors. They were the strong women. They were the women who were cheated on and kept going back to their man until somebody else came along. Y'all know who you are, who be watching these Tyler Perry movies, and you know what I'm talking about. And I just never saw who I was depicted in media. But maybe I wasn't supposed to. Maybe if I had seen myself, maybe I would not have been moved to do certain things. I don't know. I wouldn't go back and change anything in my past for anything, because I love where I'm at right now. I do. Like, I love my skin. I love my voice. I love how I hear it coming out of my ears, and then I love hearing myself speak in recordings now. I used to hate it. Couldn't stand it. But now I absolutely love my voice. What else? What else do I have for you all? But yeah, it's like I think in my last video I was talking about our inner children and getting to know them. And I was reading through the comments, because I read through you guys' comments, and somebody commented on all the questions that they ask their inner child. And if I wasn't using my phone to record, I would check to see who the username was. But those are really good questions. And I loved all those questions, because it really is. The person was saying in their comment that it's really about getting to know your inner child. And at that point, that's the hard part. But then after that, it's not as hard, because your inner child is working with you to do stuff. And I agree. My inner child, she is loving life now. She's so social. She loves to go out. It's funny, because I really thought, I am definitely an introvert, but I thought for a long time that I was extroverted, because I was always making jokes. I was usually in my friend groups. I was the most animated person in my friend groups. And people were like, oh my gosh, like, you're constantly out here. You know, you love being out. And I was like, nah, not really. I just didn't want to be at home, because home was not a peaceful place where I could recharge. For a long time, it wasn't a peaceful place. And then I was running from things, so I would party. I would party super hard. And my version of partying hard is not partying hard. Like, I would only have like 1 or 2 beverages, and then, you know, I do a little bit of dancing. I'm a big dancer. Like, I love to dance. I actually like going to the club. And I just saw 10 minutes and 10 seconds of my video. So if you like going to the club, I'm right there with you, but our reasonings may be different. I like going to the club specifically to dance with flashing lights in a majoritively dark space where I can kind of look however I want to look while I'm dancing, and the music is like all encompassing. I love that. As a kid, I used to like put my headphones on back when you had like the CD players, the portable CD players, the thin ones, and I would just close my eyes and I would spin around. I loved it. I loved like closing my eyes and spinning around so much. At that point, I should have known something was up with me mentally. Because I would do it. I would do it for what, like hours. I would just be spinning in a circle, singing, and just going off to music. But I love like the times that I went to the club in Boston, favorite times. Now, I had somebody who I went with at one point, and my assumption was that she could hold her alcohol, and she absolutely could not, and that was a nightmare. She was a runner. She was the type of person who she'd be like, "Oh my god, he's so hot. Hey, how you doing, sexy?" I'm like, "Please get your ass back here. We do not have time for this fuck shit." And like, I was super worried about her afterwards because we all took Ubers to get there. Like, it was me and some people, me and some ladies, and everybody else who was there understood. Okay, so when we get into the car, ooh, both ears are ringing. Okay, so if you're this person, if you be going out and you be clubbing, okay, I really want you to, yes, enjoy the clubbing experience. Ooh, 12 minutes and 12 seconds. I really want you to enjoy the clubbing experience, and I want you to have a good time and feel free, but I also would like for you to be safe, please. Please, if you're going to go clubbing, if you're going to go out, if you're going to go to parties, please only go with people that you trust. Partying, in my opinion, and that's all it is not so deep that you should be going with people who are not safe for you. And there are a lot of you probably watching this video who have already begun the pruning process as far as cutting people off who are not healthy for you. But I'm going to reiterate, because I'm moved to, do a reconnaissance of all of the relationships that you have right now. Figure out who is giving you energy and who is taking energy away. Who are people who hype you up whenever something good happens, and who are the people who are constantly like, "Oh, well, that's great," and then they move on super quick. Who are the people who, when you talk about something going on in your life, they are all ears, they're very excited to hear. And then who are the people who they make snide-ass comments, backhanded compliments. They're always putting you down in some type of slick shit way. And if you're the type of person who has a big heart and you're like, "Well, everybody deserves to have a friend," or "This person was with me through hard times," I get that. I understand that. I really do. But the truth of the matter is when you are stepping into a new season of your life, you cannot take everybody with you. Everybody is the main character in their movie on their stage in life. You are only ever a tertiary character in another person's play. No matter how much they prioritize you, no matter how often they call you, no matter how much they tell you you are the most important thing to them, actually the most important thing to them is to keep breathing so that they can stay alive. They are the main character of their play. You have to make sure you prioritize yourself. And I think I've said this in like 3 or 4 other videos, but it's so incredibly important to me. 14 minutes and 14 seconds as I'm saying this, it's so incredibly important to me to bring that to people's attention if they don't already know. Because I, for a majority of my life, made other people the center of my stage, and I suffered greatly for it. And most people who make other people the centers of their stage, I haven't met a single person who's made somebody else in their life, the main person, the center of their life, and they've been okay, and they've been happy, and they sleep well, and they eat well. I haven't seen it. If such a person exists, I actually would like to see that. I'd like to see how they manage. But yeah, man, you've got to protect yourself. I've seen way too many stories of People who've gone out with people who they thought were their friends, and those people left them in very dangerous situations. And I know some of you are thinking, 15 minutes and 15 seconds. I know some of you are thinking, well, they're my friends and I've known them for years and they would never do that. Human beings, as I said in my last video, have so much potential. There's so much energy there, just raw potential. But the thing is that human beings are A, not perfect, and B, you will never know everything that a person is thinking or feeling because you don't sit here in their head and you don't sit here in their heart. The only thing you can believe and trust is what people tell you and what people show you with their actions. And I guarantee you that some of you who are watching this video know that there are people in your life who keep showing you that they are not good for you. They keep showing you that they don't give a fuck about you. They do not like to see you win, yet you keep them around because you're afraid of being alone, perhaps, or because this person is really attractive and you feel like it boosts what's going on with you, or this is one of your boys and you never leave one of your boys out even though this guy is actually preying on your downfall. There's a lot of people out here who are on some slick hater shit, meaning that they're not going to say it to your face. But you don't want to have somebody on your side who's going in rooms you're not in and talking shit about you and destroying possible connections that you could have that could make you happy later in life. You don't want somebody absolutely blocking your blessings. So, I don't know who that message was for, but yeah, take reconnaissance of your people, because birds of a feather, my friend, birds of a feather. And the longer you're around people who ain't shit, the more you become an ain't shit person yourself. It's just the nature of the beast. It's like, you can't be an energetic being, which we all are. We are energy, energy that creates these meat suits, if you will. You can't be a person who is energetic in any way and be in someone else's presence and they are energetic and not take on mannerisms that they have. It's really hard to do that. It's like, that's why when people are dating for an extended period of time and they start acting like each other, you're spending all of your time with this person. You start to act like them, you start to talk like them, you start to take on some of the similar beliefs. They be wearing you down. So be careful out here. It's very dangerous. Take this. Take my love. Take my love and protection. I'm sending that your way right now. I'm just gonna send love and protection in your general direction. But you want to know what's crazy? Those of us who love speaking words of positivity and blessings and affirmation onto people, we know this. You cannot, it's not going to do anything to a person who's blocking. So don't block your own blessings, my love. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself. Open up. Allow those blessings to flow. And be there to meet them in the present moment that you're in. Let's see. Did I have any personal lessons? Any vulnerable things? I actually do. So, something that I realized, and I don't know if this is because of how my brain works, or if this is just because of how I was raised, or if it's a personality thing. I discovered today that I actually have a really hard time being a whole person, if you will. And what I mean by that is, we know that people aren't just one thing. If you have a funny friend, that's not all they are. They have other attributes. But growing up, I always categorized myself as one thing in any particular situation or group of people that I was in. And as a result, I am now in a place where my spiritual team and divine spirit is leading me to be all of the things that I want to be. But it's been difficult for me to figure out what that person looks like. I was telling my sister, one of the ways that I adopt things into my life is I seek out a person in my mind who I believe emulates that trait the best. I will mimic that person until eventually I now have that thing. So when I wanted to be really confident in like my singing voice, I thought about vocalists who were really confident in their singing voices, and I would pretend to be those vocalists all the time. And this is in my adult life, and I would do it until I was confident in myself. For me, it was Sade. I absolutely adore Sade's voice. I love how deep and whole her voice is. Ugh. Oh my god. Sweet as Taboo. Let's fucking go. I love that song. Smooth Operator. And she's still fine. She's still fine. She's so beautiful. For those of you who like jazz, look up Beady Belle. I think it's Beadybbelle. Beady Belle, another jazz vocalist who I love, who still sings and tours around. These are artists from my childhood. Growing up, my dad was super multifaceted in music. Going to school in the 2nd grade, we used to listen to Vertical Horizon. We used to listen to Linkin Park. Linkin Park was a big one. We listened to Metallica. We listened to POD, which, you know, those of you who are God-fearing individuals know that POD was kind of like Christian rock. We listened to all of the Winans stuff, BB and CC Winans, Mary Mary, and then like Sade, Beady Belle, Kurt Elling. Kurt Elling is actually a jazz artist who a lot of people that I know don't know. Like, jazz people don't know him, which is shocking to me because he's so good. Like, his voice isn't necessarily, the tone of his voice isn't necessarily one that I'm like, oh man, his fucking tone. But the way he improvises in his music, I love it. Other artists that I love as of, you know, maybe a couple years ago, Masego. I love Masego. King's Rant, Tadao. That was on TikTok for a while. Tadao. What's another one that he does that I really like? Oh, Say That You Want Me. Oh my god. It's so like, that song is sexy. It's such a sexy song. Look it up. You owe it to yourself. It's Masego, Say That You Want Me. Oh, it's so good. I love it. I love listening to that. We used to listen to EDM, like Skrillex, Deadmau5, who else? Oh, we used to listen to, and of course, the majority of my growing up life happened in Nashville, Tennessee. So I heard a lot of country. I don't necessarily like mainstream country, but I do like Trace Adkins. He had a song, and my mom loved this song, and it was You're Gonna Miss This. And it's essentially him talking about how parents should really spend time with their kids when they have it. And 23 minutes, and 23 is one of my lucky numbers. So just letting somebody who's watching this know, if you have children, if you have siblings, and hell, if you have friends and relationships that are important to you, reach out to those people. Reach out to those people, because time changes everything. As we get older, everything changes. I don't have any of the same friends I had when I was in middle school, or, well, I have a couple, but we don't talk like we used to because we've grown in different ways. Like, the things that were important to us at that time that we shared are not important to us anymore. So I have friends who I don't speak to very often because we just don't really have much to talk about. We, it's, hey, how are you doing? How are the kids? But for the most part, things have changed, and change is good. Change is very good. I never want to fearmonger people into doing things. It's like, hang out with your siblings before you all get old. No, it's not like that. But it's like the period of time that you're in with the people in your life that you have right now, your kids, your nieces, your nephews, your grandkids, now is the time for you to connect with them. I have family members who, no matter how much I've tried to reach out to them, no matter how much I've tried to start conversations, they just don't. They'll hit me back with one word or a sentence. And I get it. Some people prefer to be on the phone. Some people prefer to text. Some people prefer to email. And I think every relationship, you have to dictate that with the person that you're in a relationship with and be like, hey, so what works for you? And then also, you know, for some of you who are still trying to maintain certain relationships with people, if you're not getting anywhere, I'd say don't push it. I'm one of the people to where there's a difference between having challenges that you work through and trying to force a square peg into a cross-shaped hole. Because I know the saying is like, fit a square peg into a round hole. That's actually possible. I've done it. These kids' toys, I'd be like, no, all the shapes are going in this one. They're all going, and I'd turn them to the side. So, you know, I had to do different shapes. But if you're just really, really pushing to try to have a relationship with somebody and they're not about it, I'd say take a break. Take a break. Stop punishing yourself. I mean, I'm no expert on relationships, so the things that I say are to be taken with, like, whatever resonates with you, but also take everything I say with a grain of salt. Like I said, these videos, so much of this is for me to be vulnerable, and it's a very healing process for me. And there's some people who are benefiting from my videos. To the person who said that my videos are like a podcast, thank you. Thank you so much, because I've wanted to do a podcast for years, but I never knew what I wanted to talk about, and my perfectionism kept me from doing shit like this. And so I think it's really timely that Spirit was like, just start posting videos, talk about whatever the fuck you want to talk about, be vulnerable about where you're at. So, yeah, protect your peace. But then there's some of you. It's like, I know there's certain people watching these videos, and then there's other types of people watching these videos. Some of you, you're really good at protecting your peace. Perhaps don't just cut people off. Perhaps review that. Perhaps review the relationship. You know, just because he told you that that dress was not flattering on you is not a reason to cut him off or break up with him. Okay? Like, emotional intelligence. Y'all want emotionally intelligent people? You've also got to be emotionally intelligent. So, come on now. Get it together. I'm talking to myself, too. I'm gonna have some more water, and you're welcome to join me in this endeavor. I love that these are also unscripted, because they could be longer. Because if I was doing something scripted, it would have to be shorter, because I just don't have it in me to memorize. Like, I mean, I used to be in theater in college, so memorizing a script isn't hard, but memorizing things has actually gotten a bit tougher as I've gotten older, and I'm not sure why that is. Again, why I would like to go get tested to see if there's any neurospice things happening, because if they're not, that's great, and I can just, you know, kind of strong arm it. But if there's a reason why I think the way I think and why certain things are a challenge, I would like to know so that I can appropriately deal with those things. I told my mom, because I said, you know, I might be autistic, and I'd been saying it for a while because I would be telling her about things that I struggled with, because she'd be like, why are you struggling with this? So at some point she said, why do you want to be autistic? I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, it's like everybody now is talking about the fact that they're autistic and they have ADHD and they have all these things. These things weren't happening. You know, people didn't have stuff like this when I was growing up. I was like, no, yeah, they did. It's just that your generation was not big on supporting people's mental health, especially ethnic families. They were very much so, mental health does not exist. Like, mental health, more like discipline, you know. Stop crying before I give you something to cry about, face ass. And so I was like, Mom, it's not that I want to be autistic. It's that I struggle with things, and I've been struggling with them my entire life. And now there is scientific information that is better helping me understand who I am. And I was like, if I get tested things and I find out that I am autistic or I have ADHD or there's something else going on there, nothing really changes. I'm not trying to do anything to change anything. Like, I'm not at the point where I feel like I need to be medicated. I think growing up, I definitely maybe could have benefited from that, but again, I think everything happened for a reason for me personally in my life. And I was like, but having a diagnosis means that I can be in a position where I understand myself better. And I'm really big on awareness. Like, I'm super big on self-awareness. I feel like a lot of people do things and they say things just kind of off the cuff. They're doing what I've heard and my family's been saying for years. They live on default, or they're NPC people. So they're people who they just kind of, you know, like they do the same thing all the time. They have the same types of conversations. There's really no change there. And then they just make decisions and they don't think them through. Like, they don't consider the repercussions of the shit that they do. And there's a lot of these people out here. I mean, Florida drivers alone let you know that there's a bunch of default people out here who actually do not care about their lives, nor do they care about the lives of others. Like, I'm talking, it's pouring rain, you can't see very far in front of you, and a Dodge Charger goes speeding by at like 90. Like, this is a fucking game. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. But, you know, I think self-awareness is so important. It's so important. It's so important for everything. It's important for work. It's important for your spiritual health, your emotional health, your mental health. Your relationships will be so much better if you learn to be self-aware. And if you're like, Tato, how do I do that? How does one start to become more self-aware? Notice how you feel and what you're thinking throughout the day. Ask yourself, if you look at something, what do I think of that? That is how you start. You simply observe your own thoughts. You simply observe your body, your spirit. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. So I can tell you now, when I'm around a person, I can tell you if that person's good for me or not. My body lets me know immediately. And your body has probably been letting you know a lot of things, but because, you know, you may not be in the habit of listening to your body, you don't trust it. And a lot of people are like, well, I was listening to my body. No, you were actually listening to your anxiety. You were actually listening to your fear because it's really fucking loud. Learning the difference between your intuition, your anxiety, intrusive thoughts, the inner voice, that shit's a whole journey. That shit's a whole journey. And then again, recently in another video, I got to a point where the inner doubts, the inner saboteur, if you will, took on different voices that I see as safe people. And was like, you ain't shit, you fucking ugly, you can't fucking sing. And I was like, so there's actually a lot of situations that I can pull up right now that make all of that a lie. But, yeah, man, self-awareness is so important. It's so important. The amount of people, I hate going to the grocery store. Like, with a passion. I do not like being in the grocery store. It's usually busy, and even when it's not busy, there's so many options for things that you want. 33 minutes and 33 seconds. And as I'm saying this, there are just so many options, and it can get very overwhelming. I'm the type of person to where I actually prefer to be shown less options in clumps, because I get very overwhelmed with having to make decisions when I have so many different options to decide. And then I hate that so many people push shopping carts like how they drive. I haven't met a single person who's like, oh yeah, we have incredibly good drivers in this state. Every state has their assholes. When I was in Boston, they called them massholes, and I thought that shit was so funny. And it's like, why would you even drive here? Like, ooh, tummy rumbling. Nah, you ate, bro. You already ate. I have not been eating a lot. I need to, ooh, calm down. My stomach said, me too, bitch. I don't know what you're agreeing with, but I haven't been eating a lot. I need to eat more. I need to eat better. Ooh. That's crazy. That's crazy. But, when your stomach goes, me too, I concur. But yeah, so, self-awareness. Make sure you are looking at your mind, looking at your soul, observing. Because you'll find there's a lot of stuff that you like, there's a lot of stuff that you don't like that you're doing, and you're like, why the fuck do I do this? And it's because you learned it from somebody. Like, my dad growing up, I'm pretty sure my father has OCD. I'm pretty sure, but hasn't been, tested. I think he's gonna do that at some point, actually, and I'm very proud. I'm very proud of him. But everything had to be spotless growing up. Like, I'm talking, the home needed to look like it was going on sale right now. And when I moved into my first apartment with my roommate, I was just feverishly cleaning all the time. And then at some point, I was like leaning over the tub, scrubbing, and I looked in the mirror and I sat back and I was like, a moment of self-awareness. I was like, why are you cleaning so much? You don't have to clean this much. You could probably clean this area like one good time and just do stuff to maintain it, and you won't have to do super cleaning again after this. Like, it's fine. It's not that deep. I started leaving dishes in the sink as like retaliation for my learned nervousness, my over cleaning. It was the best time of my life, because I realized, I was like, life really is something that is meant to be enjoyed. Life isn't, for me anyways, I believe everybody makes their own decision about what life is about. Like, if you think life is pain and suffering and that is truly what you believe, I'm not going to be able to change your mind about that, because you are confirming everything. When we make statements, something to tell you all. When you make statements, your brain is acting as a continuously on, running in the background tool. So when you speak, and I think I've said this in another video, when you speak words of positivity to yourself all the time, your brain starts to pick that habit up. If you're speaking negatively about yourself all the time, your brain is picking that up, and then it starts to repeat things back at you. It's the same thing when you're talking about the life you live. I've met people who live in similar situations, but one person is really just like happy about where they're at in life and they're feeling good, and they're like, yeah, I don't have a lot of money, I don't have a lot of food, but I'm doing well, I feel grateful for what I have, like, things could be a lot worse, I'm just having a good time, having a heart of gratitude. And then another person who, every time I talk to them, they're complaining about something, and then that person is always sick, they're always struggling, or they're always going through it, or somebody's always fucking them over. But then this other person who has toxic people around them and they're not having a good, like their situation is very similar, but they're doing better. And I guess it could be argued that some people just deal with situations better than other people, but I think we can all train ourselves in the same way that we were trained into bad habits. I think we can train ourselves into good habits, personally. Like, something that I do before I go to bed is I have like 5 affirmations that I repeat before I go to bed. And then when I wake up in the morning, I have a couple of affirmations that I repeat when I wake up. And I wake up so peaceful now. My sister was like, every time I see you, you look like a baby that had the best night's sleep. Like, because I just wake up in the morning like life is just so good. And I still have my challenges. I still struggle. Like, yeah, I still have my challenges, but they're so much better than they were before. Like, I can handle things now, I think, and I'm enjoying my life a lot more than I was before. Today actually was particularly hard though, because I was making like a little dinner for myself, and I just realized that there was just a lack of food, and I have not been eating a lot just because of the financial situation that I currently find myself in. And I wanted to cry. I actually wanted to bawl, because I was like, this sucks. This really sucks. Like, I have a weight that I am comfortable at for my size and for my build, and I'm not that weight. Like, I don't think I've weighed this much since college, like prior to college. Like, the healthy weight that I should be at, I'm not currently at. And I wanted to cry because I stepped on the scale. I was like, I don't really feel good. Let me check and see. And I lost more weight in a short period of time. And I made myself some little food, because now my stomach's also really small, so I can't eat a whole lot. And I came into the room and I just lied on my bed and I put a blanket over my head and I just deep breathed. And I just focused on filling my lungs, filling my chest, just feeling my body respond to the breath. I focused my stomach. I focused on relaxing every inch of my body. And I felt a lot better afterwards. And then I went and I watched some entertaining gaming videos and like streams and stuff, and I was in there cackling and I felt so much better. And then I was able to eat my itty bitty dinner. And do those things change your situation immediately? No. They don't change your situation immediately. It doesn't happen like that. But what it does do is it makes going through certain things a lot easier. It makes it a lot easier. And I think for anybody watching this who's currently going through it, you have a right to feel the emotions that you're currently feeling. You have a right to be sad or to be grieving or to be upset or to be depressed or anxious. You have a right, and honoring those emotions is incredibly important. It's incredibly important to honor those emotions and to sit with them. So many of us constantly are intellectualizing or logicking our feelings so that we can sidestep them, because these shits hurt. They can hurt. It can be really painful. Like, when you, and I've actually had this happen, when you like a person, right? And that person is somebody you like from afar, but then you see that that person is with somebody else, your brain actually does not differentiate between you actually being injured and you emotionally being injured. The same synapses fire in your brain. I found that out, and that shit spun me for a loop. People actually die of a broken heart because their brain registers that as actual physical trauma. That's crazy to me. That's wild. That's wild. The more I find out about the human body, the wilder it fucking gets. I'm not even lying to you. It creeps me out sometimes. I'd be like, I don't even want to know what's going on with my body because it's weirding me out. But I forget why I started talking about that. The human body. Something about. Oh yeah, sit with your emotions. Sit with them. Experience them. Something else that you can also practice in your spare time while I'm dishing out things that you could be working on. And things that might make your life better. They might help you a little bit. Is to sit with friends who are going through it or family members who are going through it and don't feel the need to tell them it's going to be all right. I know genuinely a good chunk of you are like, I want to make them feel better. But here's the thing. Sometimes what we need is somebody who's willing to sit with us while we are grieving, while we are sad, while we're anxious, while we're depressed. We don't need somebody telling us that it's going to be okay. We don't need somebody hitting us with all the cliches. We just want to not be alone in what we're going through. And I've actually experienced that. I have a friend who things are rough. Things are rough for them right now. And I was like, hey, like, how are things going? And they told me, and I was like, holy shit, that's a lot. How are you faring? And they were like, not good. And I was like, well, I'm here with you. I mean, if you would like jokes, I got you. And also ask people now, by the way. If you are dealing with people who are currently not going through things, ask the people who you are close to in your life, how would you like for me to deal with you when you get into these spaces? Amazing relationship question to ask people before you get into a relationship. When you are furious or angry, how do you want to be dealt with? What do you typically do when you get angry and furious? Like, how do you, when you are grieving, when you're sad, when you're anxious? 44 minutes and 44 seconds as I'm saying this. So there is somebody out here who's watching this video. Hey, before you hop into that relationship, or as you're hopping into this new relationship that you're about to go into or that you're really excited about, If this is something that is long term, if this is something that you're really wanting to do, take the time to ask this person how they are when they get into different moods. Now, yes, this person could lie to you, but the reason you do this is so that when those things happen, you're not completely caught off guard. You have something that you can bring forward. So if somebody says, because me and my bestie, we are opposites. Are we opposites? I can't remember. Let me not say that. But there's somebody who I know, I can't remember. And they said that when they're going through it, like when they're pissed, they want to be completely left alone. Like when they're sad or when they're going through it, they do not want anybody to talk to them because it further bothers them that now they feel like they have to take care of the person who is trying to take care of them. Because now they're concerned with, well, let me not cry too much or let me not yell too much because this person's going to feel some type of way. I am the type of person to where I used to think I wanted to be left alone. And the reason I thought that was because anytime people would come after me when I would be upset or I'd be hurting, they would misinterpret what I needed, or they would start throwing questions at me at that time when I was like unable to verbally tell them how I'm feeling and what I need. And this is something that is common for those of you who are like, just say what you need to say. For those of you who are thinking that, I appreciate your thoughts, but it can be incredibly hard for some people to verbalize what they're going through and how they feel. And so it's good to check in beforehand so that when those things happen, you're ready to go. But me, I actually want somebody there with me. I actually like to be held. I like to be held very tightly. Because when I get overwhelmed, I wail. When I say I wail, like the type of crying that happens is snotty, it's tears, but it's actual wailing, like weeping, moaning, like it's bad. It doesn't happen. No, yeah, it's been a minute, so it doesn't happen all the time. But when it does happen, it's debilitating. And what I need from a person who is around me is to come and hold me and just to sit there. I don't need them to say anything. I don't need them to make any noises. They can caress my face, my head, my hair, my shoulder, my hand. And if they want to say sweet nothings, if they want to be like, it's okay, I'm here, you're safe, I appreciate those things. But I don't really need that, like in the midst of the crying. I need that, the tight hug. Hold me still, please, because I'm doing the most. But yeah. So ask people those questions when you're dealing with them so that you can avoid a serious situation where all you're trying to do is help, and then the person, because they're not at their best, snaps at you because you're doing more harm than good by trying to do what you have anticipated is something to do for them. If you ask them beforehand, and if you check with them and make sure that you're treating them the way they want to be treated, not the way you would want to be treated, then you're better off and you're good to go. Damn, I feel like these videos get longer and longer, and I don't know who's sitting through these. Like, there's one. I know there's one person who sits through all these videos. And I know she is watching these videos while she does other stuff, and she'll be like playing in the background. She's like, I'm helping you get the views. I appreciate you, girl. But yeah, but I think this is good because I think a lot of what I had to say was important or relevant. So yeah, you guys take care of yourself, be compassionate with yourself, be patient with yourself. Man, life can be a challenge. Earth can be a challenge. It can be very ghetto at times. So take your time, love on yourself, drink some water, take a nap. Naps are great. Go for a walk outside, touch a tree, put your feet in some grass if you can, like your bare feet. Put your bare feet in some grass. You'll be surprised. Last thing, and then I'm going to leave you alone. They actually found that if you sit by a tree, your body actually starts to regulate itself when you're out in the trees and in nature. That fresh air is actually really good for you. So if people are like, you should go take a walk, and you're like, fuck that noise, it actually is. It actually does help. But yeah, I think that's all I have for tonight. Mwah. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your comments. I love reading through them. Like sometimes I'll do it like during the day. I'll just be like kicking my feet, like let me read these comments, see what these beautiful people have to say. If you guys have any special interests that you want to talk about, you can put those in the comments. I would actually like to see what people's special interests are. I'm big into that. But anyways, I think that's all I have. Whether you are going to bed or you're awake or going through your day or whatever, I hope that you have an amazing rest of your day, evening, or night. And be blessed. Be blessed. I send all the positive vibes through this tiny phone to you. I send all my support and my love to you through this tiny phone. Okay.